I'm delighted to be joined today by Paul Armstrong. Paul, you're very welcome. Paul is the Supply Chain Director for Europe Beer Supply here with Diageo Supply. Paul, firstly, would you mind telling me a little bit about Diageo Supply, please?
So Diageo is structured into supply and demand. It's a kind of classic structure. I think a lot of organisations are structured that way. Demand is the sales and marketing activity within Diageo. Supply is the end-to-end supply chain, so everything from procurement, so sourcing all the goods that we need to make our beers and fill them into cans and bottles, planning all of our operations, the manufacturing sites. So I have responsibility for 6 manufacturing sites, 4 breweries and 2 packaging plants, and then the logistics to deliver our beers to all of our customers, 12,000 customers on the island of Ireland, but we also ship to 150 countries all around the world. So demand in Ireland, my colleague David Smith is my customer in Ireland, but I have 150 other customers all around the world.
So could you give me a sense of the culture that you've actually created here at Diageo Supply?
So supply is very much about making things, so it's kind of very much hands-on. We pride ourselves on delivering results, so very much about kind of the products that we make. Quality, quality is fundamental to Guinness, and we really take great pride in the quality of all our brands. We're a business that's been around for 250 years, so the culture has been here for quite a while and clearly changed over the 250 years, but there's a lot of kind of pride in our history, heritage, the business that we have. And actually, how would we describe things in kind of Europe Beer Supply? It's a warm, welcoming place is how I would like to think the business is. And actually the feedback that we got from your report would I think echo and reinforce that. People like coming to work here, and we've a real sense of can-do, teamwork, and one of our values is valuing each other, and I like to think we're passionate about our products, so that's another one of our values, but very much about teamwork and valuing each other and creating the right working environment so that we can deliver the results that we do.
Warm is an interesting word. How would I sense that if I actually come in as an employee on day one into this organisation?
Yeah, people will welcome you into it. So there's not a kind of a barrier, I guess, to people coming into the business. One, people want to work for our business, so it is one of the people love working for this business. People stay here for a long time, which again I think is a measure of kind of how much people like working here. But actually, if you look at the kind of the comments that we get back, it's a great place to work. They enjoy their colleagues. They enjoy working together. There's a sense of teamwork, and there's a sense of getting things done and making things happen. And things like customer service, so we're delivering every day kind of the beer, 1 million pints a year coming out of the plant. So there's a real sense of kind of being sure that every one of those pints is kind of highest quality, packaged and delivered every day, so we don't let our customers down anywhere. And a real sense of teamwork when you walk around the site. And a sense of belonging to something that's been here for a very long time.
Could you give me an understanding of the demographic breakdown of your organisation currently?
So supply would be older than our colleagues in demand. So people tend to join this business and stay, and many stay until they retire. So it's really has a tremendous history of kind of loyalty and people staying in the business because they like being here, they like the business. We do look after our people well, and so we have an older demographic than the demand side of the business. However, that's changing, so as we've had a lot of change over many, many years, and as we've changed, we've replaced the older demographic with younger people. So there's a good mix of kind of older folk with a lot of experience and grey hairs and knowledge and capability, and young people kind of renewing the business.
So you've got a range really of generations in the workplace, maybe baby boomers all the way up to Generation Y. Or how have you managed to blend those together?
Young people bring new ideas and kind of energy and excitement. I guess older heads, they might see it slowing them down and kind of maybe holding back some of that energy. However, when you're in the manufacturing business, and it's fundamentally important that you don't go in and reinvent Guinness every day. It's very, very important that we consistently produce the same product day in, day out, and that mix of kind of the old heads, kind of making sure that the ship is steady, and the experience to bring along the kind of the young heads who bring the new ideas and the new energy, and they're the future of the business anyway.
Often people say to us certain industries lend themselves better to being best workplaces. Manufacturing sometimes doesn't come under that remit for them. They think that's different. But for you, you've managed to create a great place to work in a manufacturing environment. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, in terms of say it's more difficult, it's probably different, okay? So in a manufacturing environment, you have unions, and we have a kind of a unionised workforce. You have layers, probably more layers than you'd have in a kind of a staff or some other organisations. And I guess kind of industrial relations, some of those things can can create some barriers, I guess, to that. But we have a long history of kind of really good relationships with our unions, with all of our employees, and I think it is a little more difficult in manufacturing, but it's not fundamentally different to any organisation. Why do people come to work? They come to work to do a good job. I don't believe anybody at any level in the organisation comes to work to do a bad job. And the key for us as leaders in the business is to make sure that we harness the energy of everybody who comes into the business, and they bring all of themselves into the business, doing the old kind of cliche of the guy kind of sweeping the floor in NASA, being asked what his job is to get a man in the moon, So what's the job of all of our people here in Guinness? It's to bring Guinness to the world, all around the world, and to try and kind of instill that in our people. We have a lot of change as well, and we've had a lot of change over the years. I like to think we deliver that extremely well with our people, and in collaboration and an agreement with the unions, and we do that well.
You've gone through a lot of change then over the past number of years, really from 2008. How have you managed to keep all your employees on board with the process?
Never easy, John, and never easy as a leader in any business to make some of those tough decisions. So the hardest thing any of us have to do, and the hardest thing for me, is kind of when you make decisions that are for the good of the overall business, but do have implications for the people that you work with and know kind of really well. So 2008, as you may remember, we announced that we were going to invest in a new greenfield brewery in Leixlip, €650 million investment. That was going to result in the closure of our breweries in Kilkenny and Dundalk. Clearly a very, very good news for the business in terms of the investment. Difficult and challenging news for our colleagues in Kilkenny and Dundalk. The world then changed, so Lehman Brothers and all of that stuff kind of emerged, and all of those plans had to be put on hold. So again, that was pretty challenging. We'd gone from we're building a brewery, we're closing our sites in Kilkenny and Dundalk, to we're not building that brewery, and we're not quite sure what that means for Kilkenny and Dundalk, to then making changes in Kilkenny and Dundalk, to today kind of building the brewery that we're building at St James's Gate, with the ultimate closure of the sites. So how did we deal with that? I think we dealt with it by just being straight. We say authentic in Diageo, but being very, very clear with our people, telling them the information and the news as soon as we had it, sharing it in a very open, honest, direct, adult way, I guess, is probably and indeed trying to kind of get out of maybe some of the behaviours that industrial relations environment might have, of second guessing each other and kind of staying in dark, smoky rooms before the smoking ban, and what we did, so in terms of all of that, I would have visited every site. I would have met with every employee on the sites. After Leixlip, I'd have said, not clear where we're going, but I'm clear what we're going to have to do. So consolidation into Dublin in some format is inevitable, back in 2008, 2009. Between now and then, we're going to have to make some changes, and we did. We consolidated all of our kegging into Dublin. We engaged in negotiations to kind of reduce the workforce in Kilkenny and Dundalk then, to allow people who could retire early, leave the business with an early retirement package, which was very difficult given the state of pension funds following the Lehman Brothers collapse as well. But we found a way to make that happen. And then for those who were left, who would be a younger demographic, clearly we've worked to create jobs in Dublin. So I was kind of saying to you earlier, if you go around the plant now, as well as the Dub accents, you'll hear Kilkenny and Dundalk accents well mixed in the workforce. So we've worked really, really hard to open up opportunities in Dublin. And for those who can't get to Dublin, we've worked really, really hard at opening up employability. So we've done that through transferable skills and building their confidence, because actually we've got great people with great manufacturing kind of skills that are very valuable in pharmaceutical and biomedical devices and all of the kind of the new industries that you hear coming into Ireland. But they don't know that for themselves because they've worked in a brewery for a long time and don't think that they could easily transfer into a Pfizer or a Wyeth's or any of the biomedical device companies. So we've given them the confidence, but we've also brought in those companies. We've shown them what we do in Kilkenny and Dundalk. We've had our people in Kilkenny and Dundalk right through from the top to the bottom of the organisation, describe what they do, present the things that we do, with huge positive kind of comments back from those industries. And my hope, it may still be a dream, but I think it's the right dream to have, is that everybody, when we do close the breweries in the coming year, that everybody on those sites will find a job somewhere else, ideally before we get there. And by doing that, I believe we'll have done everything that it was possible to do for our people to keep them engaged. So we've been transparent in our communications. We've been supportive all the way through the journey in terms of trying to deliver a future for them outside the business where it wasn't possible within the business, and within the business for those we could transfer. And at the end of it, a very good severance deal so that people will never be happy when you close a site, but that people feel that we've treated them as adults fairly, equitably. And when I meet them, and I do say this when I meet the guys on the sites, when we meet each other in the streets, as we will in Kilkenny and Dundalk in the future, we can look each other in the eye and say, that was tough, but we did it right.
So your own philosophy about trust in the workplace, where is that emanated from?
The organisation has its values, but individuals have values as well, so. And I guess I'm fortunate that I work in an organisation that has the same values that I have and treasure as well. It is about kind of being the best, kind of being straight, authentic, and direct with people, walking the talk. There's no point talking it if you don't kind of behave that way yourself. I'm here 32 years, so most of the people that we've been talking about, I know their families. We've grown up together. And we've built kind of trust, I guess, over the years. And I have a huge kind of value of not, if you like, losing that trust, or and it's about being straight. And we've been through some very difficult times over the last number of years. But I've always told people everything exactly as it is, okay, without and there was the guy in. General Electric, who has one of his phrases, be candid with everyone. Okay, Jack Welch. So I really believe in being candid with everyone. And candid doesn't mean being rude or kind of being blunt. It means being honest and straight. So I do like that, be candid with everyone phrase. So I'm fantastically lucky to work in a business that has the same sort of values that kind of work for me. And to have had the joy, I guess, of 32 years in this business working with great people.
Have you actually had real challenges along the way yourself?
many times, and one of the kind of questions about how you build trust with people. So I guess we've had some fantastic times, like when we won the investment, fantastic. So as a team, we celebrate, this is a great business to be in, to celebrate things like what a business from a Diageo. You could not be in a better business from a celebration perspective. So we celebrate the good times and our successes. But equally, we've had some challenges, we've had some failures, we had things that go wrong. And that's, I guess, the moment when you really do kind of, as a team, kind of bond together, try and learn from that and kind of go on. So in 32 years, I've had some good days, and I've had some days when I've walked out saying, we should have done that better. A
lot of times people think about, best workplaces as being kind of, woolly, and it's the soft people stuff. For you, talk to me a little bit about the business benefits of being a great workplace.
And I know people sometimes struggle to turn that sort of soft, woolly stuff into tangible business case. But I think if you asked any chief executive anywhere in the world, anybody in a senior leadership position, what delivers your result, it's the people who work in the business. So there's a kind of leap of faith or act of faith there, but it's demonstrated and proven in the performance of businesses. So great businesses that deliver great performance take this stuff very seriously, have a highly engaged workforce that delivers for them. And you cannot deliver good results in a business without a highly engaged, motivated workforce. And a highly engaged, motivated workforce comes from having a great workplace and a great place to work for people. And it's fundamentally a kind of a virtuous circle. You won't get the results unless you kind of have the conditions for people to succeed and give off their best when they're at work. So, but there is a leap of faith in here, John. Yeah.
You have quite a dynamic, great place to work team here at Diageo Supply. Why do you think that's really important?
Yeah, well, it's ownership. So it's all fine and dandy for me to sit here in my ivory tower and kind of encourage people to make this a great place to work. You need ownership and kind of a deep embedding of into the organisation. And so there are great places to work teams, which we have in every site and every function across the organisation, are the people on the ground who actually make it happen. So I can exhort and kind of encourage and inspire, but actually they're the people who do the work. So they're down there, and they're the people who work and engage with each other every day. They're the people who know what's going to really make a difference at ground level in each of the areas of the business. And actually, it's little things that make a difference. So big things are important, but actually, little things can be the major irritants that kind of make the difference between things working really, really well and things not working well. So they know what's going to make the difference. They're the people who can communicate. They're on the ground. They're in many ways they're more influential than I, because they're there making it happen, and that's why we have those teams. And I absolutely love them for doing the work that they do for us and making it happen right across the business. Also, we're a diverse business. We have 6 sites, so we in my leadership team, we can't be everywhere. So you need people on the ground. They're the foot soldiers who really make it happen.
Often leaders are maybe about to join the process, but they're anxious about it. What advice would you give them about taking that leap of faith?
I think the first thing is that leap of faith. Because I know when I gave the talk on DIT for you guys, there was this: how do you justify it? And it's kind of difficult to justify. You have to believe, and you have to look at kind of what everybody else has done. So take the leap of faith would be kind of first piece of advice. Second would be using. So I think your process, the questionnaire, the process that it brings, it's there. So don't try and reinvent a wheel. There's something that you can kind of access, quite cost effectively. Gives you a structure, gives you a process, gives you some incredible insights in the comments, and gives you something to build on year on year. So we're now in 3 years, I think, from a supply perspective. I know the demand organisation are in, I think, 11 years now at this stage. Over the 3 years, we've built a kind of a very clear picture of where we were when we first entered, where we were last year. Great to see the progress this year. Great to see some of the positive comments, but also great to see the kind of the areas where we can do better. And it's there without having to go and reinvent a wheel. So I would encourage people kind of grab your tools, use it, and kind of and it's not terribly expensive, and it gives you a fantastic insight into where you are as a business, and also from the action planning kind of year on year, and we use your process in conjunction with our own internal value survey, and I like to kind of compare them. We've your questions are probably in more straightforward English, which I like. When we talk about a values survey, which is the internal one, it's very useful, but it's a wee bit more intellectual, I guess, kind of values survey where everybody can recognise what a great place to work is. And questions are much simpler. Is this a safe place to work? Taking all things into account. So I like that. And actually, it's kind of been very helpful for us to complement the two. And we've got some great feedback. So what would I say to people? Take the leap of faith. and don't try and reinvent the wheel. Use a process that's there and easily available would be my encouragement.
Paul, thank you very much for your time today, giving us those insights into your journey. Continued business success and continued success at continuing to be a great place to work.